Well, hello, welcome to the Creative Writing Life podcast, where we talk with the writers from all mediums and genres about themselves, their work, and advice they have for writers. I'm your host, Paul Zaidun. My guest today is another writer I've known primarily through social media, but we're not going to be talking about that kind of writing today. We're going to be talking baseball. And welcome Brian Gallagher to the Creative Writing Life podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Paul. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, Brian. We're going to get to your about the author section in just a minute because that's all going to be on you. But for those who are familiar with the show, we like to start things off talking about anything we have read or watched lately. If we liked it, we didn't like it, or we're indifferent to it. I will go first just to give Brian some time to collect his thoughts. No, excuse me. Sudden catch in my throat. So a couple of things that I've been watching. My wife and I, my wife is a huge mystery fan, so we watched a three-part series on Netflix called Seven Dials, and it was very disappointing because if you like Agatha Christie, it's kind of like they took a book and decided, let's stretch this out as much as possible because
Oh,
there
wow.
were there were scenes like where the scene that was in there purely for expository purposes. Just some people come in, explain what they're doing, and then they leave. It made no sense, and it was just a lot of scenes kind of dragged on longer than they had to. It could have been two episodes rather than three, or even like one movie, but that's the way they went.
Oh, wow.
Uh, we also watched. I just had a whim over the weekend, so we watched one of our favorite movies is Some Like It Hot. Excuse me,
Oh, nice.
and that was I hadn't seen it in so many years, but it's still great and still some great laughs in it. And I was also on a slight animation kick lately. So there are two films, both of them on HBO Max that I watched. Was really cool. It's called Aztec Batman: Clash of Empires, and they take the Batman
Huh.
mythos and apply it to like when the Spanish explorers arrived in the New World, and
Really?
it's really clever. And I have to highly recommend watch it in the original Spanish with the subtitles because I think that makes it a lot more effective. And the way they implement a lot of aspects of the Batman story, I just thought was really clever and really original. And it was fun and probably not something you want to watch with small children. I'll say that since it does involve Aztec influences, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And the other
Interesting.
and the other one was a film I saw it. I saw that it was playing in theaters. I think last year. It is from China, and it is called Neja 2. And I hadn't seen Neja 1,
Oh, yeah. That's
but
like the highest grossing movie of the year, isn't it?
yeah, it's like a huge hit in China, and I that was part of my interest in wanting to see it. And then I saw it was on Max, and so I said I'm going to watch this. So if you're not that familiar with Chinese folklore and mythology, it's not going to be a hindrance because they kind of explain things. You just kind of have to say, okay, that's how they do things over there, and but the animation was phenomenal, and yeah, a few some of the jokes were fell a little flat for me, but overall, I really enjoyed it, and I think they did a fantastic job. It looks phenomenal, and it was great to see characters don't have that Pixar look to them, that kind of bulbous nose type of thing.
Yeah.
But it was really enjoyable, and it was probably like the fastest 2.5 hour animated film you're going to see in a long time. But I really enjoyed it. So all three out of the four things that we watched, I highly recommend. The fourth, watch at your own risk. I'll say that. Brian, so what about you?
So I've been trying to get caught up on the Oscar stuff before it comes out. So I watched like No Other Choice, which the Chan Park's
Oh yeah,
movie.
okay.
That's phenomenal. And it hit way harder than I thought it would because of my own job situation. So
Mm.
it was pretty fantastic. And but a lot of the other stuff that I've been seeing lately, I saw Avatar 3 before Christmas. I've been seeing a whole lot like this month, but a lot of the stuff I'm seeing I would just find myself disappointed. Like Marty Supreme, I wasn't a huge
Oh,
fan of. I mean, Timothy was great, and Odessa as Ion, they're both great. But it's just he's just a dick. He's just this. It just didn't really hit that well for me. And Jay Kelly, I wasn't a fan of either. It just didn't seem super necessary, I guess. But and the performances they were fine too. But it's just I don't know. But as far as reading, I've been reading. My buddy got me this book for my birthday, and I'm kind of hooked on it. It's called Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's came out. He self-published this book like 45 years ago and became such a thing. He was doing sequels and self-publishing these sequels, and it got picked up by I think Random House. And I'm
oh
like, I
wow,
can read him.
okay.
But it's
Wow.
it's fantastic. And so it's this guy. he finds out it's like the beginning of the year. He's waiting for his soon to be ex-girlfriend to come home because she cheated on him on a cruise or something like that. So he has his cat, his girlfriend's cat, and then just one night the world ends pretty much. Every anything with a roof, any enclosed structure collapses upon himself and basically kills most of the world pretty much.
Oh
The
man.
reason he's outside is this cat, for the first time in her life, decides to go outside. It's this very prim and proper like show cat. And so the cat runs outside and he lives. And then he finds out that the whole Earth was basically destroyed to be part of this galactic intergalactic game show, basically called Dungeon Crawler Earth. And they've been
Okay.
doing this for centuries and all this stuff, and the whole rest of the galaxy watches, and so it's a big reality show. And and so basically he has to keep going through these like the whole planet has been turned into this dungeon, and it's amazing. I'm like halfway through the first book, and he got me the second book too. So I think there's 7 books right now, and
Oh my gosh.
the eighth is supposed to come out in May, I think.
Are
So
they all like just one continuous story, or does like the first book end and he like wins the game and then there's like another game he has to
it
play or
seems like I mean, because this one, I'm halfway through it, and there's 18 levels, and like no one's gotten to the 18th level ever. I think the furthest anyone's gotten is like the 14th or something like that. So he just got through the first level halfway through, spoiler alert. So it seems like it's all gonna be taking place in this one thing. I don't know for a fact, but I mean, at the pace that they're going, it seems like they're all gonna be within this one like season, so to speak. But it's really funny. It's really fast paced. Characters are great. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
okay, that's phenomenal. It's a great concept for a story too.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a bunch of like stand there's a bunch of there's a webtoon, I guess part of for comic book day or whatever.
Hmm.
He just announced that there's a free like web comic thing or free like a mini graphic novel, I think,
Oh
with the
wow.
so there's all sorts. It's crazy. And it's exploded too. I guess it's really popular. There's the guys doing conventions all the time, and
Oh, that's great.
pretty nuts.
Okay, phenomenal stuff. Okay, so Brian Gallagher, we're going to start talking about you as a writer. Now, as I said, so we're going to be talking about your book, Baseball Figures. But now, see, what I usually do is this is when I would hold up the book to show what the cover looks like. But this is a little different today. This is a book that Brian has written, and he is seeking a publisher for it. And I had the chance to read it, and I'm a casual baseball fan, and but I just really enjoyed it because it goes into so much more than just talking about baseball. It's kind of like the world, baseball and the world around it. But we're going to get into that in just a minute. So, Brian, this is also when I would usually read the about the author bio section that's in the book or on the back cover. So since I don't have that, and you're the author, so tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, like, what's your background? Were you always a writer? I always ask guests, were you a voracious reader as a child, or was writing something you came into a little bit later in life? I mean, tell us all about Brian Gallagher.
So I actually started reading when I was really young. I think I started reading at 2, which is apparently very young
Young.
for some. The story goes apparently they were reading my mom and dad were reading me a story, and for whatever reason I just said, can I try reading one? And they're like, sure, okay, like just okay, whatever, you're not gonna be able to read it. And I was able to read it somehow, and they were like, it was crazy. And so I read everything. I was reading anything they would get. I would like beg them to give it to me so I could read like the catalogs that we used to get, the Sears catalogs, stuff like that. Yeah, so always read. I always wanted to be a writer. I actually grew up wanting to be a sports writer because I had delusion of grandeur that I could be a pro athlete, and that didn't happen. I hurt my knee when I was 15, and that kind of said goodbye to that. But my original plan was to go to school to be a sports writer. I want to be a beat writer, follow the team around, all that kind of stuff. And when I got to school, that didn't really happen, and I got kind of sucked into screenplays and movies and all that stuff. And I mean, I like movies like anyone, but I was just fascinated with the whole process. I had a friend in college that was writing a script, and I became obsessed with it. And like just the whole form and how you just tell these stories, and that was it. And so I took a break from school for a long time. That should have been a lot shorter. Like, oh, it'll be a semester. It was about 3 years. So during that time, I started writing very bad screenplays and started watching a ton of movies. And when I finally got back to school, I'm like, well, I could probably pivot into a movie kind of critic sort of thing. And so I became the school's movie critic for my last 2.5 years of school, and I had a radio show with a friend of mine too, and we just talked about all the new releases and did movie trivia and all sorts of stuff like that. So by the time I got done with school, I wanted to move out to LA, and I wasn't sure I was going to do that at first, and then I was writing for this site when I was still in school, and when I went to this tiny school called Winona State University in Winona, Minnesota, right off the Mississippi River. And I was writing for this website for free for these guys for like 4 years, movieweb.com. And at one point, I was just doing reviews. I was just reviewing whatever they had at our Winona theater, our 7 screen theater, and whatever else I would see anywhere else. And they would send me DVDs to review. I mean, for free. It was a pretty good gig. It was just something else to get my work out there. And eventually, when I was done with school, I kind of still wanted to pursue the screenwriting thing, and I need to be in LA. So I'm like, well, hey, if you guys have a job in LA, that'd be awesome. And eventually, I was actually going to move out here for a different job, for a PR firm job. And then right when I was going to move for that, they had an opening, and I came onto the site, and I moved out here in January 2008, and I've been ever since
Oh,
writing about movies and TV shows and all that good stuff, and then trying to write my own movies and TV shows.
sure, sure. Okay, so that will lead us to, okay, so you're working for a lot of entertainment-based, content.
Mhm.
So what was the I always like to say, you're a screenwriter, so you know what the elevator pitch is, or
Yeah,
for the author circle, the cocktail party pitch. And also, I want to give the full title. So it's Ballpark Figures, excuse me, Ballpark Figures, the people and faces, bars and places I've encountered while visiting every Major League Baseball ballpark in America, which is a great title.
thank you.
So we'll start like, what was the inspiration for it? I mean, you must have to be a baseball fan to,
Yeah.
be willing to put yourself through this, but what was kind of like that spark that made you think, you know what, I like going to games. How about I write about, you know,
Yeah, it started with COVID. Honestly, it was I always kind of had the inkling of doing this. I had a friend in college that was doing it as well. He was visiting every he tried to do one or two a year, and there's a ton of people out there that like the ballpark chaser community is pretty huge. There's
mm.
a group on I discovered this group on Facebook in my second year of my travels, and there's 93,000 people in this group.
Oh my God.
A really super active community. It's all you go on the page and say, "Hey, I'm going to Detroit in 2 weeks. So where should I sit? And what hotel should I stay at? And where should I eat?" And all the and you'll post that and you'll find 500 comments like two
Wow.
weeks. It's crazy. It's excited. That's the same thing. I found this thing in my second year of traveling, and it was just a treasure trove of amazing resources. So, but going back though, so I had always kind of thought about this. So in 2021, coming out of COVID. It was really bad in Los Angeles, as it was, I'm sure, in San Francisco. And we didn't really, I mean, my job just gave me a laptop, like, oh yeah, we're work from home for 3 months, and that was a year and a half.
Right, right.
And we still didn't even go. I mean, reopened the office again, but they still kept it limited, and it's still to this day. I think it's still fairly, even that they moved into a new office, and it's still pretty limited. So there's not the whole crew that comes in. But anyway, so. I was still working from home. I was paying off all my stuff because I had nothing else to do, and I just had all this money kind of burning a hole in the proverbial pocket. And I had a lot of vacation time to mess with too, because we had to plan out we had to map out um, all of our vacation days months in advance, basically.
Mm.
And I didn't know at this point. This is February 2021, and we had to put our days in for May through August. And I still didn't know the vaccines were kind of coming up, but we weren't sure when because they're rolling them out so slow. I'm like, I'm gonna be, I don't know when they'll actually get this vaccine, so I couldn't plan anything. So I picked the middle month or the middle week from each month, May through August. Just took those off. I'm like, okay, well, if I can plan something, I guess we'll see. Then sure enough, all the vaccines started rolling out quickly, and I had all this time to kill. I'm like, well, I've always kind of thought about doing this, so maybe I should. And then that first month in May, during that week off, I took a train down to San Diego and caught that game, and then took the train to Anaheim the next month, and then I planned my first big trip, and I was hooked. And I did 9 parks in 2021, 10 in 2022, and another 9 in 2023.
Oh my gosh.
And the only reason I didn't get the last one is Toronto is because I couldn't find my passport for a year and a half.
I was going to say I love that part. That was a question I had for like later on in the show. But so what is, what's the situation with Toronto? Did you find your passport? Did you get a new one?
It's finally renewed, and they're playing the Dodgers actually in April. So the plan is to finally do that in April. And yeah, so the passport's renewed. It's all good to go. I just gotta book the trip, and we should be good to go.
Okay, so as you said, you had over what 3.5 years. You visited 29 of the 30 ballparks in America. So after you visit Toronto, so are you going to just like kind of revise the book a little bit, just kind of like in the last chapter and
Yeah, I think I'm trying to figure out a way to do it because I mean I had the epilogue with I might have to I don't know. I had the epilogue with the World Series, my World Series experience, and I definitely want to keep that in because I wasn't planning on that either. And when it happened, I'm like, well, I just have to add this. And
sure?
so there's there's probably a way to do it. I just have to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, then I'll just change the title and just like, hey, I'm gonna be ballpark instead of the in America qualifier.
Or in North America. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That'll work.
So, but
Okay.
yeah, there's a way to do it. I'm sure. I'll just have to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Okay, well that I'm glad to hear there was some kind of update because that was a burning question that I had when I
Yeah.
was finishing. I said, "Yeah, what about Toronto? Come on, you got to finish this."
I mean,
Uh,
part of it too was just like I was thinking about waiting for it until I got there, but part of it was just like I wanted to write it when it was still fairly fresh too. Because I didn't know how long it would take. I didn't I, 'cause I couldn't find it forever. Like, I didn't find, it was buried in this box somewhere that I wasn't planning on finding it, and of course it's there. And but I thought I looked everywhere, and of course I didn't. But so I wasn't sure if I would ever get there. So I just wanted to write the book while it was still fresh. But yeah, now that I can actually finish it out, then yeah, I'll figure it out.
Okay, well that leads to the question that I think this is like the biggest question I had regarding the whole book. So one of the things I was really impressed with that there is so much detail regarding every visit to every park that you don't just talk about, you go into some details about the games themselves, but you talk about your trip there, like the good or bad experience you had with the airline or the bus or the train, how much things cost, where you went to eat, what you ate, and like how, and also about the games themselves, like where you sat, how long the game was, the final score, the attendance, everything. The question I have to ask, how did you manage to keep such detailed notes? I mean, did you just do this after every game, or was this just you just have meticulous record keeping abilities?
I think more the latter. Yeah, I mean, all this stuff is still out there. It's just like the attendance is they post the attendance and the time of every game and every box score. So that always is there. And then, so basically what they have is they have a new thing called it's fairly new called the Ballpark app. So all of your tickets go into there and on your phone. So it's really great because you can keep track of everything. They have the score. You can get access to that box score. You can get access to yeah. It has your ticket thing. I mean, I was just going through. I have all that stuff in my all the ballpark stuff, all the actual
Hmm.
details of where it's at. That's all in my app. And then for the all the other stuff like for the planes and all the prices, that's all in my emails too. I just don't really delete anything. So that's kind of part of it. I'm kind of an email hoarder to speak, so to speak.
Well, okay, but what about things like, because like one of your trips to New York, you have like, your one of your best nights ever about going to
Yeah.
this bar and you're talking and like and you're also in other cities and parks that you go to that you talk about, like I said in the beginning, that it's not just about, you attending the game and your experience there. It's kind of like the before, kind of during, but also a lot after. You also even have
Yeah.
like each chapter is a section post game. And
Mhm.
so it's like there's some of the details in those. So like you talk about, this is the name of the bar that I went to, or this is the restaurant, my friend, such and such and his wife, and we knew each other in
Mhm.
college. It's like just this nonstop flow of
Yeah.
information about all of these experiences you had. I mean, so that's, I want to take it back to that original question, like the details that you have for all of these visits that you had, it's so extensive. I mean, is it just, a perfect recall, or you just had so many, as you said, so many emails and records of each trip?
I got lucky because it doesn't really exist in this same format anymore, but I leaned a lot on Google Timeline. And Google Timeline, you can still do it. I mean, I think they kind of just recently, this past like year or so, they stopped kind of archiving so far back. So I can go for the last like 6 months or something like that to you can go and you can look on that this one day and it shows you everywhere you went if you have your location turned on your phone. So that's a big thing that I lean on for sure. Because it has where you if you update everything because there's especially when you're in cities any kind of a major city and there are so many places around this place. It'll say, hey, it'll say question mark, were you here, 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 like one of the different,
Oh.
there's so many places nearby. So I was always pretty meticulous about updating that and making sure like this is a place that I was at. And also like when I don't take a ton of photos when I go, but if I'm at a cool place, whatever, I'll take a picture of my beer mug or whatever and tag wherever that's at. So a lot of it is going back through Instagram, going
Mm.
back through Facebook, seeing where the place I went, and then the timeline. Because at the time, unfortunately, it doesn't do this anymore. They don't. It's not. It would if you went on a trip like this month or whatever, and you can go back or whatever. But yeah, back then you could. They had. You can go back for years, and it would show you. I want to go back to my trip to New York in 2021, and it was show me everywhere I went that day, what time I went, when I
Wow.
left on the subway. It was crazy. So I got really lucky in that that was available then because that was. That was everything as far as like the timing and the details and the places that I was and how long I was there for, everything. It's crazy.
Okay.
So
Oh,
it was,
okay. So another part of your experiences, I thought that just added a lot of depth and like a human element, like, along with extending things just beyond the realm of baseball, that you were writing about, like I said, events totally outside the game, like
yeah.
that bar in New York, or you went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, and, the world of Coca-Cola in Atlanta. Why? Why did you want to make sure you included those details for each chapter? Was it just kind of like, here's the whole experience I had visiting, name of city here?
Yeah, a lot of it was that. A lot of it I kind of wanted to be like a one man's journey kind of thing. And also a part of it too is I'm not a wealthy man. These are not lavishly funded trips. And I want part of the point of the book too is I wanted to show that you could do this if you can do these trips if you're not crazy, crazy wealthy. I mean, it takes planning and it takes I mean, I don't have an unlimited budget, but also at the same time, I wanted to have experiences like that. I wanted to go to some cool bar that I heard of or some crazy tourist trip. I mean, the tourist traps aren't always that fun. But I mean,
Hmm.
if you're only going to be in this, and then like for Cleveland, like you mentioned, I don't know when I'm going to be back in Cleveland, if ever. So if I mean, it's funny too because there are other cities I would visit. I'm trying to do the same thing with hockey. I've got
Hmm.
20 of the rinks done out of 32,
Oh, wow.
and that's where the passport comes in handy too because 7 of the rinks are in Canada.
Uh,
So now I can finally.
well, I was going to say, you passport ready.
Yep, exactly. So, but yeah, a lot of that was if I'm not really planning on coming back, I mean, I've got to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, you just
Hmm.
have to. And I only had, unfortunately, I wish I had more time, but it was still, I so kind of rushed through it, and I would stop to. It was kind of a weird process. They always said, oh, you're gonna need 3 hours, and I had literally an hour and a half.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so I'm like, okay, there's I think 6 floors or 7 floors, something like that. There's one whole floor at the time that was dedicated to the wall, which was incredible.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's just super cool. So yeah, I always want to try to do stuff like that because mainly because I don't know if I'm gonna be back in those cities again, and so I might as well see the big thing. I mean, there's a lot of time, a lot of times I just don't have the time. Like Baltimore, there's a couple of places that I didn't get a chance to see. Like there's the Babe Ruth was born in Baltimore, so there's a big
Hmm.
Babe Ruth kind of museum. I think it's the house that he grew up in, the orphanage that he grew up in. They turn that into a museum. So there's always stuff you're gonna miss. But I mean, so there's who never knows. I might go back to Baltimore for something else.
Sure.
You never. But
Uh,
for when I want for when I'm going, if I'm there, I'm gonna try to see the coolest or the biggest kind of thing that I can if I have time.
Yeah, I was going to say because I think that that's what I noticed, especially in the earlier trips that you took. I think especially like that East Coast one, like you only had X amount of hours in
Yeah.
Philadelphia, so you didn't get to really explore. I think maybe Boston was another one you didn't get to really get around much, but New York you had more time, and I think maybe in DC, you were able to. I think you were spending time with friends or maybe staying at a friend's
Yeah.
house, and that actually was something else I wanted to really commend you on is that throughout the book, you present like just this widespread look at all of the people who helped you. And it wasn't just, I wrote down college friends, other writers, through social media, as you said, the ballpark chasers, and also just like people you met along the way. It just really kind
Yes.
of like said, these are the people that I encountered. And I think the big question is like, was this a really vital part of not just the overall journey, but the overall experience of
Yeah.
going to these parks? Like you were able to bring friends in, like, as you said, a lot of college friends you hadn't seen, 10 or 20 years. And also, like, we know Colin in Baltimore, he lives in the DC area, but he went to the Orioles game with you just to like bring people into your experience so that to kind of add to theirs, but it also adds to yours as well.
Yeah, no, it's the great part about traveling alone is having just the random, you know, like the night in New York, which is still the best night of my life probably, and never would have done. I mean, and that's the thing too, is like I love hanging out, meeting up with old friends that I haven't seen in a while, but at the same time, it's like when I'm not with someone else, you don't have that kind of expectation of someone's always there and you're always talking to them, and so you're more free up to meet other people just randomly, and so I love doing both. I love catching up with my friends, but I also love just seeing who I can hang out with in a
Hmm.
random city that I'll probably never go to again. I mean, I'll go to New York City again because it's awesome, but I don't think I'll go to
Yeah,
Cleveland again.
when do you think the next time you're going to Tampa is?
Yeah, yeah. I
Nothing
was
against
impressed.
Tampa.
I was surprisingly impressed with Tampa though. The that automobile museum is really cool. The Dali museum is really cool. But yeah, I did go to Tampa for my NHL chase, and that was a pretty short kind of trip. And that's part of the thing too. So it's like what you said with New York and Boston, all that kind of stuff, and Philly. I kind of had to. It was kind of a finite amount of time, so I had to kind of make a choice. Okay, well, do I want the bulk of my time to be in New York, or do I split up in Boston? And I ultimately chose New York. So I had the one night in Boston. I flew in. I took a very early, like a 7 a.m. flight, I think,
Hmm.
and got in at 3 and had a couple hours before I got to the game. Got lost in Boston because it's weird. And their streets just make no sense. Like it wasn't too bad, but I definitely got lost. I remember people talking about how weird the streets are in Boston, but it was great, and it didn't help that it was insanely humid the
Mhm.
entire time. I remember I have a screenshot on my phone. It was still in the 90s at like 9 o'clock at night. Like, it's not a
I was also going to say like all especially the people that you met I guess at the ballparks and like people who you didn't know going into things
yeah.
that you had your omnipresent Dodgers cap on. So
Mhm.
I guess like and people and I was thinking throughout the whole thing, my God, this hat is like such a conversation starter no
Yeah.
matter where he goes.
Yeah. And that's why I made my jersey too. Like the jersey I got, I'm not sure if you've seen it on Instagram, but it's I got patches
Hmm.
for every team on the back. And so I wear that to every game I go to. And that's always a conversation starter either for people who have done it too, or for people I want to start that as well. And it's great. It's so much fun. I have the same thing for the Kings. It's basically it says visited and it has the past patches for every team that I've been to so far.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, so it could also be said, as we referenced, you spent some of your traveling in we'll call them adult establishments, and so and those kinds of beverages are mentioned more than a few times
Yes.
for not only just at bars but also airports and games. But what I thought. I really enjoyed the stops at the bars during the travels, and as we said about your Dodgers cap, it was almost like baseball was like a unifying thread. Like, you know,
Hmm.
people who didn't know who you were say, who's this guy in the Dodgers cap at the end of the
Yep.
bar? And they maybe they would ask, or like, are you probably like always start you a Dodgers fan, or you're
Yeah.
here, are you here in town for the game, et cetera, et cetera. Can you go into a little bit more about that, and not just about the cap as a conversation starter, but the interaction with all these people who all of a sudden, this stranger comes up to you and says, "Hey, nice hat," or they want to start talking, and somehow it leads to baseball, and then it can go in any direction.
Oh yeah, yeah. The one the first one was in New York. I had my Dodger hat on. That was the thing too, is I didn't I tried to make it a point to see at least one Dodgers game on each of the big trips. I couldn't. I mean, just the way baseball is set up, it's kind of impossible to see. Only there's people that do it though. There's people that will only see their team, and they know it'll take a lot longer. But for whatever reason, I just got hooked on it. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna see as much as I can, but I'm gonna try to get at least for on each of the big trips. The first one was 6 parks in 8 days. Second one was 6 parks in 9 days, and the big one in 2023 was 9 parks in 16 days. So I try to make a point there was at least one Dodger game on each one of them, and so there's one Dodger game in I saw the Dodgers play the Mets, and I hopped on that the 7 train or the 6 train, and yeah, there's Dodger Blue everywhere, just everywhere. And some of them were like people who grew up there and live in New York now. Some people were traveling from the game. Like there's a huge this huge Dodger organization called Pantone 294. That's what they do. They travel to these huge road trips and they have these travel packages. And I never did anything with them, but I've seen them out there in force. It's crazy how many people are coming out there for those games. So it's yeah, but you always I'm seeing Dodger fans everywhere um for those games, and it's always just a blast. You have no idea where when I was in Kansas City, and I can't remember how much I dug into this in the book, but there was a whole family that
Hmm.
lived in Kansas City for years, but they grew up in LA and they're still Dodger fans. And there's a whole that whole section was all this family that we talked to the whole time, and it was hilarious because they were just like, oh yeah, we've been in Kansas City for 25 years, but anytime the Dodgers come in town, the whole family rolls up and they
Yeah,
just
that is one thing I noticed. Excuse me. It's one thing I noticed throughout the course of the book that there are always like certain kinds of fans at a game that if the you go to like a home game and the visiting team, like there will be fans from that for that team
mm,
that are there. They may be traveling, but they also may be locals. Like when I'm in San Francisco, and whenever the Pirates are here, I try to go because that's the
sure.
team that I like. And I found that there's always people in Pirates gear there, and this is a it's an untested theory, but I'm fairly certain it's pretty accurate that if you go to any sporting events involving a Pittsburgh team, there will be at least one person wearing something Steelers oriented because it doesn't matter like if it's the Pirates or the Penguins, there's always going to be somebody like with Steelers hat, Steelers jersey,
Yep.
some kind of
Yep.
thing. It's a Pittsburgh thing, I guess.
That's probably true. I mean, even when I went to the Penguins on my hockey journey in November,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of Pirates, there's a lot of Steelers, a lot of everything, and they're all black and gold too. So it's kind of funny that they're
Yeah,
all pretty much the same
it
color.
comes in handy.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to. So I think overall, I mean, you still have Toronto to do, but like, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from the experience of just going to visit all of these baseball fields, stadiums?
I mean, just how big the sport is, and just how massive. I mean, I'm going to these random games, and I'm going to games during the week too. And I'm not going to all weekend games. I'm going to weekday games, and there's still 20,000 people there. It's just like the only I only went to one game that was under 10,000, and that was in Miami, and that was like a Monday or Tuesday game in Miami. There was 8,800 people there,
Oh,
and
I thought the Oakland game also had a really low
it was
turnout.
low, but it was just barely above 10,000. But
Okay.
just barely. But that was a Friday game too. So if I
Yeah.
that, they were making headlines that year because they were, I mean, it got to the point where they were just sick of everything. So there was I think their home opener was on a Monday that year, and there was 2,300 people there, which is
Yeah.
just, and they still have, I mean, when you open up all the stuff, the Mount Davis stuff on the top, it's bigger than Dodger Stadium. It's like 60,000 people, 60,000 seats, but they've tarped that whole thing off for years. So it's still in like the 40s or 50,000s, but yeah, it's sad. I mean, but yeah, that Oakland game I went to, I met an author who's written two awesome books, and just completely out of the blue. And because we did this, we both did the same thing. Whenever I sit in a seat, I take a picture of where I'm, and the post was greetings from section, whatever, from wherever I'm at. And the funny thing was, this guy sitting next to me, like he's taking score with the notebook and everything. And apparently he did the same thing, and I didn't know that until he just turns to me. He's like, "Hey, do you know this guy?" And one of my friends from college followed him on Twitter because he wrote this book, this great book called The Wax Pack about it was I was super jealous when I heard about it because it's such a great premise. He got a pack of cards from '86, the '86 Topps baseball cards, and he tracked down every one of those players and talked about
Hmm.
life after baseball and stuff. And it's a great book. And but he followed him on Twitter. He's like I guess it showed up. Our picture showed up in his feed back to back, and they were the same picture pretty much. And so we started talking the whole game. Like he actually helped me with my proposal for ballpark figures. He sent me his proposal, and so yeah,
Wow.
it's just I mean it's just a random guy sat next to me at the A's game. So
Oh, that's great. That's great. So now that you have majority of the book in your past, so what advice would you give to writers who like not that they want to go on the same kind of journey, but like they want to write some kind of we'll call it sports adjacent material. Like it's not about
mhm.
the sport itself, but it's about maybe their experience or
Yeah.
their it's how it affects their world, but also in a way, this book of yours, it's very much like a memoir because it's about this particular part of your life. So, what advice would you have for authors who want to tell that kind of story? I mean, you can whichever one you want to answer first.
No, yeah. I think a big part of it is just to be open like with yourself and be like be able to share stuff that, I mean, not that there's stuff that's super uncomfortable in there, but just kind of be as open a book as you possibly can, because people want to know stuff like that. People want to know like where you went and who you met and where you sat and just the things that you experienced. And like there are books that are like there's a bunch of books on the market that are within the realm of seeing all the parks. There are people, there's someone in that group that I mentioned that does this every year. That sees all 30 parks every
Wow.
season. And he's done all 30 every season for 5, 6 years now.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
and there's people that do the RV thing where they take a whole summer and they just rent an RV and they go crisscross the thing. And there's people that will only follow their team. So there's so many people out there that are doing this. And and just yeah, just let I don't know, I guess don't part of it is like try not to plan as much, but you have to plan to an extent. But part of it is just to open yourself up to have enough time to leave stuff out there that you are spontaneous about. Like the night in New York City. That was just a random. I had drinks with a friend with Kevin Morales. I don't know if you know Kevin. He's in New York. He set up a writers meetup at the Apple Pan or at the Frying Pan, that
Mhm.
that boat in New York City. And we went there, and it was still like 11 o'clock, and I had nothing else to do, so I just went to this bar, and it was the funniest thing in the world. It was just amazing, and yeah, and I got home at 4:15 in the morning and wrote this crazy thread on Twitter about it. Like, oh my God. And everyone was just freaking out about it. It was hilarious. And that part, what's funny is that little excerpt actually won like, oh, not won, but I got some money for it for the guys who created Sunny, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They also launched this whiskey called Four Walls. It's like an American Irish whiskey thing, and they had a thing where they were asking for your best bar stories. And so I submitted
Oh.
that, and like it didn't win I think 5 people won like 6 grand or 7 grand or something like that. They had a really arbitrary number for it, and I can't remember why. But then the other people, like 20 more people below that, won like $700, and I was one of those.
Oh, that's
But
great.
there were people that were doing videos from there were like skits in the bar and stuff like that. They weren't
Wow.
really bar stories, but they thought they were funny, so whatever.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna not gonna let you go before I answer this. I think you talk about one of them at the end of the book. So, the best park in Major League Baseball, in your opinion.
PNC in Pittsburgh. It's by far the best view, the best. It's just gorgeous. If you sit in one of the, I mean, I think it was $38, I think, for a seat on the second deck behind home plate, and the view is just stunning. It's the best in baseball. The Clemente Bridge, that was the one regret though. I kind of want to go back because I didn't get to walk across the bridge because the
Hmm.
bridge was closed that whole summer for renovations and crap.
Right.
But because that's a big tradition though. People walk across. There's many other bridges you can walk
Mm.
across, but the
Yeah.
thing is to walk across that Clemente Bridge, and that whole thing was closed off. I was lucky to have a good friend of mine who I knew in LA that she moved back home to Pittsburgh at the time to deal with her parents. And yeah, I was really grateful for her to show me around and stuff. And but yeah, there's a whole kind of Hall of Fame kind of thing, like retired numbers along the side of the river too. It's
Hmm.
really cool. They have things we could buy when they were building PNC. They have you could buy a brick and put whatever you want on the brick. Paul Guillot actually tried to get me to track down. I guess he was a big Pittsburgh. His family's from Pittsburgh, something like that. So they bought a brick, and he described what it was. I can't remember what it was, but he's like, "Oh, find my brick." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure." Is there like a locator thing? Because other parks do that. Like the San
Hmm.
Diego park has a thing, and they have a locator. And like, "Oh, put whatever thing's on your brick, and they'll find it for you." He's like, "No, there's not a thing. Just go find it." I'm like,
You
I'm
just
not
have to
gonna find
find
it,
it.
dude. I'm not gonna look at 20,000 bricks.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, good luck finding it." I'm like, "All right." No, it's beautiful. It's just yeah, it's just gorgeous. I mean, the team is the team, and
Yeah.
I missed out on seeing Paul Skeens pitch there,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, what can you do?
Okay. And also something that kind of developed over the course of your travels was what you called the hot dog report.
The hot dog report. That was
So,
Paul that started that too. That was Paul Guillot who started that. He
okay.
literally asked. I think it was on my last trip. He said, "I want a dedicated hot dog report for every park." I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that. That's fine."
And so that of course leads to the inevitable question, like which ballpark has, in your opinion, the best hot dog?
It's honestly it's one of the first ones I had. It's the Fenway Frank in Pittsburgh in Boston. It's for one. What I found out later is that most parks either grill or boil their hot dogs, and they do both. I'm not sure in which order, but they grill them and then boil them, or boil them then grill them. I don't know, but they also have a split top uh, bun, a hot dog bun, which is like I don't know how to describe. It's an East Coast thing, I guess. It's
Hmm.
like a lobster roll kind of a bun,
Sure.
but they grill the bun on both sides. They kind of shave the kind of the crust off the bun and they grill. It's crazy, but for whatever reason, that was just the more I that one always, even before I started doing the hot dog report, that always kind of stood out. And then it was that one, and then the top three was that. There's a really good jumbo dog in Camden that's really in Baltimore, really flavorful. And then what was the other? A Truist, I think it was. The jumbo dog and Truist. But yeah, I mean, there's not a bad hot dog. I mean, not really. I mean, but it's yeah,
Well,
it's
I think you even do the famous Humphrey Bogart quote, which is that
yeah.
a hot dog at the ballpark
Dog-
beats roast beef at the Ritz or something
Yep.
like that,
Yep.
which is a
Yep.
great quote.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
so you've got this book and you're working on getting it out there. So the big question is like, what's next? You talked about you visited was like 20 of the 32 NHL arenas now.
Yeah. That will probably be a book. That's probably going to take another maybe 2 or 3 years. I think. I'm part of it was I had other trips planned out for this current season, but the whole losing your job thing kind of doesn't
Mm.
work out so well for
Well,
that.
that'll do it.
So, but yeah, I'm at 20. There's five more, five left in America. I think it's Boston, Pittsburgh, no, Boston, Philly, DC, Carolina, and
Oh, so you've been to Seattle and Salt Lake
yeah,
City? Oh,
yeah.
okay, cool.
Salt Lake City was actually in December, so that was sort
Okay.
of the thing. I had a different job for a little bit, and they got me some vacation days, and I booked these trips, and then the rug kind of got pulled out from under me. So it was a little tough. But they were very small trips, I'm doing that, and then the other big travel thing I'm trying to finish this year is get all 50 states. So I'm at 44, and I've got six more for that I should be able to do for this year. I got After the Toronto visit in April, the plan is to I got a friend he's basically on the South Carolina side of the Charlotte suburbs. So
Hmm.
I can knock out both Carolinas are on the list. So I can knock out both of those in like a couple days. Probably see the Charlotte has a minor league team. The minor league thing is kind of a very stretchy goal,
Yeah. Well, I
but
was
there's
I was I was gonna say I was gonna ask about minor league teams, but there are so many, and that's all
120.
that's only 120.
120. Yeah. 30, four for each team, 30 teams. So yeah, I have nine right now. So it's, it's on
Okay.
my last year I did two kind of state focused trips because I had 29 states at the beginning of last year, and I'm like, well, I could probably get all fit because I turned 50 next year. I turned 49 today. I turned 50 next year.
Happy
So
birthday.
thank you. So I thought I could probably do this. And so I did 6 dates in, I think, 9 days in May. And that was all upper Maine, Vermont, New
Oh,
Hampshire,
okay. So
Connecticut.
New England. Okay.
Yeah, all of that. And there's a bunch of minor league parks that went there. And then I did six more in August. And that was, what was that? Oklahoma, Arkansas. I kind of cheated a little bit just because it's hard to travel into Arkansas. It's hard. They cancel Greyhound buses throughout the entire state. There's only
Oh,
one direct line, and it's a lot. It's kind of expensive to fly into Little Rock. So I
yeah.
basically went to Memphis and spent like an afternoon in West Memphis, Arkansas, and then the next day I spent an afternoon in God, what was it? This little town in Mississippi, right off the Memphis border. So I spent like 3 days in Memphis and kind of cheated for those two. Because my whole the rule for all these trips is I don't count it as visited unless I had a beer and that wasn't in the airport. So like
Okay.
connections don't count. Like I won't count anything that was just that I didn't leave the airport for.
Sure.
So I'm at 44, and what else did I do that on that trip? That was Oklahoma City, West Virginia, or no wait, Oklahoma City, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama,
Wow.
Kentucky, and Indiana.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
and so the six more I got left. I got both Carolinas, and then I'm doing in June, I think it is. It's the last four are Nebraska, which I would do the College World Series.
Hmm.
So that's in June, and then from there go to North Dakota, which I've been to years and years ago, but
Hmm.
there's a train. I'm basically gonna go there and just stay the night. And there's a train that goes, this crazy train that goes from Chicago to Seattle, called the Empire Builder.
Okay.
It goes through the Dakotas and Montana and Idaho, like the top part. It's crazy. And so I'm gonna take that train in Minot and go to, I guess, called Harve, Montana, way up north in the middle of nowhere, I
Oh
guess.
man.
And then that's like an 8 hour train ride, and then spend the night there, and then get back on that same train and go to this small town called Sandpoint, Idaho, and the
Okay.
top tippy part of the thing. And then from there go to Spokane, spend the day there. There's a writer friend that's there, and then go to Seattle, and then from Seattle go to Fairbanks, Alaska.
Oh, okay.
My last date, and there's this really cool tradition there. There's this game that is called the Midnight Sun Game because there's 20. So that'd be on the summer solstice, and during that whole weekend, I guess there's 23 hours of daylight. So they play this game at midnight, and this game's been played for like 122 years or something crazy like that. So it's just the two independent teams in Alaska,
Oh
and
wow.
they play, and they get like Hall of Famers and all the ball players that come out there and throw the first pitch and stuff like that. So
That's great.
yeah, so
Okay.
that's the plan.
That is phenomenal stuff. Well, Brian Gallagher, I mean, I wish I could hold up a copy of Ballpark
I
Figures, but
know.
that is still in the works. But so, any publishers or book agents looking for a great sports-oriented material, you got to get in touch with Brian. Speaking of which, Brian, we talked before we started, like social media platforms where people can find you and follow you and get in touch with you. Maybe say, hey, this sounds like a great book. I want to read it.
Yeah.
Send it my way. So, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter X at Gallagher MW, Gallagher MW, and Instagram I'm Brian Gallagher Writer, and I'm Writer BG on Blue Sky. Uh, on Facebook also, I don't remember the whole numbers, but you can search and find me there. It's probably the same profile picture as all the other ones. So
Okay, great, great. Well, Brian, thank you so much for being here today. This was a great and really entertaining discussion.
thanks so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I had a lot of fun as well.
No, great. I'm glad to hear that. And viewers and listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, please hit like. Feel free to leave a comment and subscribe. I can't let things go without saying I still have just about 2 weeks left of the crowdfunding for my short film, Shecky. We're just shy of the stretch goal. We hit our initial goal, but
Oh, nice.
hoping we can reach that. We have like $550 to go before we hit our stretch goal. Everything that we raise is going to go towards post production. We're hoping to squeeze a couple of film festival fees in there as well. So whatever you can give would be great. We've got tier rewards and everything is much appreciated. So check it out. It's Indiegogo Shecky post production. It's the only one on there called that. For my social media, you can check out my screenwriting blog, MaximumZ.blog. I'm on Twitter at Maximum_Z, and Blue Sky and Instagram is at Pez Screenwriting. And this show has its own accounts too. It's at Podcast CWL for both Twitter and for Blue Sky. And you can also check out my Go Ahead and Ask books. They're on Amazon about screenwriting and pie. Like I said, that's Brian. I'm Paul. This has been the Creative Writing Life podcast. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, go write something.